Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Sci-Fi Sunday on this channel where we talk about all things sci-fi, fantasy, and comic book related. And today we've got to do our review of the first two episodes of Creature Commandos. So let's jump right into it. Now, I want to give you an update on Miko. Miko's doing absolutely fine. He just has a little bit of a sore spot on him that we're looking after and kind of making sure he don't bite it and get it infected. That's why he's not in our videos currently. However, he has been getting better today and is not biting it nearly as much. And so I expect him to have a full recovery before you know it. They will probably give him a bit of meds at the vet tomorrow. But let's get on to our review of the first two episodes of Creature Commandos. Because Creature Commandos is a comic book that has been around for a long time. In fact, the comic book started off as something completely different, with them essentially fighting in World War II. So that was kind of where those comics started. As it progressed, they became very much this sort of Task Force X type of team to rival one that Marvel has that's kind of similar, the Howling Commandos. So with that, now you have how the series kind of happened. But with the series, you have a lot of fun things, a lot of fun ideas that they could go with. And James Gunn understands obscure characters. He really does. And I myself am a fan of obscure characters in comic books, and I love to see people bring to life characters that people forgot about. And the Creature Commandos have for a very long time been at the top of my personal list of things that I want to see come to life. So it's really great to know that we're not only getting this in animated form, but some of these same actors will be playing the part in live action. Now, it has a cast that includes Indira Varma as the bride, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, with David Harbour as Frankenstein, aka Agent Frankenstein, depending upon what you go with. I've heard Agent Frankenstein, Frankenstein the Monster. You have Sean Gunn voicing G.I. Robot. And G.I. Robot has been a character that has been in comics for as long as I can remember. It's always fun to see him make appearances, so I was actually very glad they brought this character back into Creature Commandos, and it's fun to know that he is part of this team. Then you also have him voicing Weasel, so, there's that. Then you have Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus, and that character is really cool. I don't know too much about that character. I've heard of him. He's been around for a little bit, but he's one of the ones that I don't know a whole lot about. Then you have Zoe Chayo as Nina Mazursky, and I know I probably mispronounced that name. For that, I'm sorry. That character has been around for a while too. She started off as a human who kind of made herself into a monster. She acts as kind of a leader to the team at times in the comic books, although not all the time. Then, of course, there's Frank Grillo, who I absolutely love as Rick Flag Sr. It would not have been my first choice at all in playing this character, but he is a great actor, and if you're a fan of my channel, you know how much I really like this actor, so I think it was a really good choice to put him in there, and I look forward to him playing that character. Now, let's get into that first episode. Episode 1. And here's where I have to tell you guys, our obligatory, there will be spoilers for this. This is not a non-spoiler review of this show, because once again, just like with a lot of shows we talk about on a weekly basis, or we give you a full rundown, you can't really talk about the details to the show without giving some spoilers. So I'm not going to say that there aren't spoilers. There certainly is, because we are going to be breaking down a lot of the plot that happened and give you the full rundown of the episode. So let's jump right into that with the first episode, the Collywobbles. So the episode starts off with the Creature Commandos going to this nation that's under attack by the sorceress Circe and her followers. And Argus sends the Creature Commandos because Waller isn't really allowed to use the criminals like she had been doing before. She isn't allowed to use humans for her task force anymore due to some of the events that happened in Suicide Squad. And then you also have the fact that Rick Flag is selected to kind of lead these guys, and his son was the one that was killed in the Suicide Squad movie. So it lays really heavy into the fact that the Suicide Squad movie happened and that it was something that is canon. Although we don't know how much of it is canon because James Gunn kind of said that everything kind of happened the way it did, but maybe with slight differences. So we don't know what slight differences may have happened yet, but there certainly are going to be some as the story progresses. So after his meeting with her, and he gets to meet the task force and finds out who he's actually going to be working with, which is essentially the Bride, G.I. Robot, Dr. Phosphorus, and Nina, as well as the Weasel. And he takes these guys to this place to protect this princess, to protect their country. And the princess kind of has the hots for our boy, Rick Flag Sr. She definitely has the hots for him, and he tries to be professional. But after a while, he does kind of give in. They know that they can't disobey orders or they get shocked. He's the one in control of that. Dr. Phosphorus and him actually have a fight because Dr. Phosphorus wants to escape. Well, while all that is going on, the Bride and Nina do escape. They do leave the compound of this princess. And once they do, they go to where she grew up. This old woman notifies someone called Eric Frankenstein of her appearance. Now that's where that episode ends, and it is a very good episode. It's actually pretty awesome. I enjoyed it a lot. It is kind of overly sexual. It is not for children. But if you're a fan of the Creature Commandos from the comics, it does sort of ring true to it. And it does sort of have that vibe, even though they do play very heavily into adult themes in the show. That brings us to episode 2, the Tourmaline Necklace. Now, this episode begins a different way. We get 1831, where Eric Frankenstein, aka Agent Frankenstein the Monster, is talking to his creator, Dr. Frankenstein, telling him he needs to make him a bride. And a lot of the dialogue that's taken from this episode is taken directly from the source material, taken directly from Mary Shelley's novel. So that made that extra special. Well, eventually what happens is that it gets into the modern day. The bride reveals to Nina that this is the place she was born. And the whole episode sort of has some flashbacks of different things that happen, but at the same time, it has enough modern day stuff to really make it fun. And it focuses on, of course, the bride and Nina getting attacked by Circe. And the other members of the group find out they're missing. And the other members of the group now have to team up and go and rescue their friends. Of course, the battle's going on during this time, and the whole episode sort of shifts back and forth between memories of the bride and her past to Frankenstein's obsession with her. And we get to see a lot of fun scenes with Frankenstein and the bride over the ages in this episode, and it's really a lot of fun to watch. Now, Circe just demolishes the two of them. They end up bloody and beaten on the ground. And that's right about the time that the group arrives. Now, during this time, the princess is still hitting on Rick's flag during this entire episode. So there's going to be something there. There's definitely going to be something that happens there because they do end up together in this episode. But I think it's going to come back and bite him in a very bad way. So what exactly do I think about where this series is going to go? Well, like I said, that princess is bad news. We're probably getting a situation where she is Cersei because Cersei can actually disguise herself and has disguised herself as people in the past. So she might in fact be the princess trying to really hurt whoever she can. And it's funny because this whole thing is kind of the soft reboot of the DCU. This is the soft start of our new DCU. And it plays into a lot of things. Now, a lot of people noticed that in this, that there's little Easter eggs, like you do see Superman on a cross. I don't know why that is. Maybe that does get explained. There's a lot of other weird things that happen in the series, but for the most part, I enjoyed these first two episodes a lot more than I thought I would. And I really did think I'd enjoy it because I do like Creature Commandos. I was worried it was going to be a little too much like Guardians of the Galaxy. But then again, that's kind of what made this work, is that it is that ensemble of misfits. And that's what James Gunn does very well. I think he's going to do an amazing job with Superman and some of the other characters as time progresses. But this is definitely a fun start to the series, to the entire DCU for that matter. But that is where I'm going to leave it off to you guys. If you saw the first two episodes, what did you think of them? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Did you notice any really cool Easter eggs? What did you think about this first two episodes of this series? And do you think it's a good way to lean into some of the more obscure characters while also setting up the primary focus of the DCU, which of course will be our big name characters? Do you like the idea of it being animated and having the actors come into real life eventually? Do you think that it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? And what do you think of the princess? Do you think she is in fact Cersei? Whatever you think, make sure you're letting me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. Don't forget to share this video with all of your friends. They're going to want to be a part of this crazy conversation as well. And then don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Then Miko says we need more subscribers, and you don't want to disappoint Miko. He's off screen, but he's here in spirit wanting you to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. And then friends, at the end of the day, I know it and you know it. Fandom is family.